Hello, everyone. My name is Christy Ashton. I'm moderating today's OIA-sponsored webinar from Ascent 360, where you'll learn how to achieve outcome-based marketing. We appreciate you joining. All attendees will be on mute for the duration of the webinar, but we certainly welcome your questions. Please enter them into the chat box and we will answer a few at the end. With that, I'll introduce today's speakers. First, Scott Buell. Scott is CEO of Ascent 360 and a board member for OIA. Scott spent his career developing complex databases at Merkle and Experian for large global brands like Nike, Disney, and Royal Caribbean before starting Ascent 360. His vision is to bring Fortune 500 level marketing tools to mid-market businesses. Welcome, Scott.
Thank you.
Next, Carlos Perez, who is the Chief Revenue Officer at Ascent 360. Carlos is an expert in revenue generating strategies with a successful track record as an industry consultant and in executive leadership roles at Wowza, Envision, Yipes, and Level 3 Communications. Welcome, Carlos.
Thanks, Christy.
And with that, let's start.
All right, so I think the place that I'd like to start, and this is Scott Buelter, is to talk a little bit about, what outcome-based marketing means and, what that means relative to the market. So we, at Ascent 360, we talk with a lot of marketers in the outdoor industry and outside of the outdoor industry. And as we talk to them, they have these kind of core ideas that they'd like to achieve. And I think the first one is they just have a strong desire to have kind of best-in-class marketing. And that is, they see what's out there, they see what people are doing, and they'd like to kind of join that group that is, helping drive, kind of very, very customer-focused emails and other marketing. They also have a need to market across channels, right? That's email, Facebook, Instagram, search. And it's all, if you will, customer direct type marketing. They also want to build relevant content. And what that means is, well, if they know something about the individual that they're trying to talk to, they want to build content that is exciting to them. Most of the time, and especially in the outdoor industry, we find marketers are in the business because they're passionate about it and they know their customer base is passionate about it. And at the end of the day, they want to deliver something to them where that passion flows through, and that can be a challenge. And then, what's needed for that then is to get, customer insight and understand revenue. And that customer insight is, well, if you don't have insight on the customer, if you don't know who they are, then how do you go achieve best-in-class marketing? And then finally, just a strong desire to drive outcomes, right? So at the end of the day, they want to drive revenue. Everything that they do should be kind of focused on that purpose. But that purpose, So that purpose is, if you will, specific to some achievement that they'd like to get to, right? And that is, hey, they're doing some sort of like new AT binding launch, and when they want to launch that binding, they know that some of their customers are much more interested than others. That maybe the vast majority may be uninterested, while some specialized set absolutely loves it. Maybe they want to provide different content for different demographics, right? They know that there's a fundamental difference in product needs between a 20-something and a 60-something. Maybe they actually want to do some, very kind of store-specific, right? If they're a retailer, store-specific marketing. Just an interesting story is I recently got an email from, one of the biggest names in the outdoor industry that came to me, but it was for a women's only Susan G. Komen event in Squaw Valley. And I'm not only am I not a woman, I'm actually not invited, right? It's a women's only event, but I also live, let's call it 900 miles from Squaw Valley. And so it really kind of fell on deaf ears. It costs them money. It's content. It's hard to get out, and it didn't work. And then, finally, they want to do things like, build relationship with someone who, just bought a $5,000 bike. And if they bought a $5,000 bike, they know that they need service. They know they need accessories, and maybe even insurance and those sorts of things. So what does best-in-class marketing look like? It can look like this, right? Where we know we're tailoring a campaign by segment. It's hard, but you've got, a message to families going to families, a message to mature going to mature. Millennials are getting a different message, and that is, maybe kind of step A. And as you mature, maybe you actually get to, and our clients are doing this, get to a place where you're looking at more of a matrix, where pass holders that are families are actually getting a different message than previous pass holders or prospects. Now, the nut of it is that this isn't the reality for the vast majority of mid-market marketers. And why is that, right? It's because executing on these desires is just difficult. Having the data in the right place, in the right format, to know who's a family, to know who is, a pass holder, or whatever that is for your own business, is actually pretty challenging. You need to engage technical resources all of a sudden, and you need to then create content, and all of that is hard. So what we see when we talk to the folks that are in the outdoor industry, what we hear the reality looks like is, hey, we're sending a daily, weekly, or bi-weekly newsletter. It's going to our entire subscriber list. We're sending some welcome emails. Maybe we've advanced to abandoned cart, and the program, the direct-to-consumer program, is largely email-based. And the real rub here, and this is probably the most important part, is that it doesn't yield great results, right? If you're listening to this webinar and you are one of the ones that's sending a newsletter to your subscriber base, what it probably looks like is you've got a 15% open rate now, and you've maybe got a 2% click rate if you're happy, and shrinking revenue. And that's just the reality of trying to send something, spray and pray to 1 million people. So what do we think about outcome-based marketing? Outcome-based marketing is just very specific to some objective, and that is, I want to drive some post-purchase series, maybe even to somebody who bought a specific product like that AT binding. Let's think about geo-targeting to in-store if you're having an event or a tent sale, subscription renewal. So, we're at a place where our subscriber is, has finished a yearly use of some product, or maybe it's even a replenishment where, they need more wax or what it might be. Next best product. So if we know that they bought a bike, and the analytics can tell us that the next best product is a helmet, let's talk to them about that. And then things like lapsed high-value customers, right? And these are just 5 examples of things that we call plays. And our goal is to help our clients drive plays using all sorts of data. And it's not just these 5, right? What you really get to is that there's kind of a whole host of data-driven plays that are, what we call outcome-based marketing, because it's actually achieving an outcome that you're planning to do. And so I kind of want to now say, well, how's that different? And what are the attributes? So maybe the most important thing about outcome-based marketing is it's automation-oriented. So the idea of every single week putting together a newsletter, trying to drive great content, is really, really challenging. So if you can create, let's just call it a post-purchase series, maybe you create 3 of them. The ones that you create probably don't need to be changed for 6 months or so. Maybe it might be seasonal, if you will. But once you get it automated, it's very relevant to the individual who's getting it. We think of it as play and touch point based. So in the earlier slide, these are things that we call plays. A lapsed customer play is something that we think about that is data driven, and that is to say that we know that they're lapsed because of the data, and then we enhance that with analytics. And that might be a high value lapse, right? We know that they've spent $4,000. It's just they haven't bought anything in a year. And then if you want to kind of drive it as revenue focus and move beyond email, right? There's ways to communicate with consumers that is beyond email. And so the nut of it is that this results in a better outcome, higher open rates. So a typical automation, we see around a 50% open rate, while an ad hoc email is maybe getting 15% today. You know, things like pre-stay emails are getting 65, 70% open rates and high click rates. You're sending a much lower volume, and that means you're engaging the database. The people that you're talking to are opening, they think that there's something relevant you're talking about. It's automated, so your team isn't really doing anything anymore. You set it up in advance. It's highly targeted, and then what you also want to achieve is believable revenue attribution. And the way to do that again is with data. You know, things like Google Analytics are great, but it'll really only tell you attribution around your website and e-commerce. It won't tell you the other forms that you have when people call in, when people come into your store, or whatever other method you have of generating revenue. All right, so I'm going to hand over to Carlos now and let him dig in a little bit around you know, the way this sort of stuff happens and some examples.
Awesome, thanks, Scott. So let me take a minute to frame up how easy this is, how straightforward this is. We're just super excited about this outcome-based marketing approach that we've rolled out. Effectively, it's a 60-day path to value. So let me talk you through these 4 very straightforward phases of the work, right? So the first thing that we're going to do is align on plays. And as Scott was saying, a play is just our vernacular, much like in sports, for the combination of a strategic marketing approach, the tactics, meaning how we're going to do it, with a targeted audience and a targeted outcome. So we've got a roster, as Scott was referencing, of proven plays that we have, you know, best practice, lasered in, demonstrated returns on. We align with you on what are the 3 to 5 plays that make sense for you. We kick off, we integrate your data together, right? So we harmonize your data, we cleanse your data, we make it the absolute single source of truth, and we create the automations that are required for you to effectively set it and forget it, right? So that's effectively a month, 20 business days. Then we move into execution. So we run the plays. Again, these are automated plays. So this is not high impact or high resource requirement for you, the marketer. We're actually leaning in, participating in this in terms of development of content, execution of the play itself, identification of the audience, right? So we're running the play for about a month, and then you start seeing results. The plays continue, the results continue, but we're demonstrating results. You've got tangible ROI within 60 days. It's really straightforward. It's a proven approach. And the end outcome is that what we're looking to do is effectively roll out those foundational elements of your marketing effort, right? So if you're looking to transform to that outcome-based approach that Scott was referencing earlier, right, where you've got personalized email, where you've got genuine and authentic conversations, this is the foundational work that gets you there, right? This is the 20% effort that gives you 80% impact. It's proven, it's automated, and it's reasonably priced and reasonable from a resource requirement perspective. So we're super excited about it. Let me dig in a bit on the plays specifically, because that's probably the area where you're scratching your head and saying, okay, well, what does that mean? I saw some of them earlier. Give me a little bit more flavor on what these plays look like and how you get to them. So when we kick off from a discovery perspective with our clients, we bring a recommended set of plays. So typically it's something like 6 to 10. I've got 6 up here. And let me just talk through some of these examples, right? We've got own your Amazon customer play. We've got a high value customer in terms of how do you go get more high value customers. We've got a lapsed customer play. We have life events. We've got repurchase and subscription and replenishment plays. So what we'll do is sit down and understand what are you doing today from a marketing perspective, and what do we think together the highest, most impactful opportunities are. And so we'll identify typically 3 to 5 plays that we're going to go launch on your behalf in terms of partnering with you around execution. So let's dig in a bit more and kind of talk through what a play or two could look like. So the first one I've got is the Amazon play here. This is one that we've run with a whole bunch of our clients to much success, right? And the challenge or the opportunity sounds something that I'm sure is familiar to many of you, where, hey, I've got a relationship with Amazon, I'm selling on Amazon, but I really don't know if I can build an ongoing loyalty and ongoing relationship with my end customers. It might be the case that I'm worried about a knockoff coming on to Amazon. Maybe it's Amazon themselves. But what I really want to do is build a long-term relationship, right? And that's because you want repeat purchase. That's because you want feedback. That's because you want a two-way dialogue with those end customers. You want the opportunity to upsell, cross-sell. We all know that the true value or certainly we know that the existing customers are worth so much more than prospects, right? And it's so valuable to understand who your best customers are. And so this play is all about getting access to those, right? So what do we do when we run the play? Well, we actually, through APIs into Amazon, pull all of your Amazon records into a single consolidated marketing database, where we understand, okay, from an Amazon customer perspective, is there overlap with your existing customer database? Folks that you thought were customers or prospects, or that were customers or thought were prospects but actually are customers. And then through our expansion engine, we actually go out and map and identify all of those unknowns, right? So previously you were getting name and address. We'll go out and match a large percentage of those name and address to email, so that you now can engage in a relationship and an ongoing dialogue with those customers. What does that play look like? Well, typically, and we've certainly got best practices, we've got plenty of examples. You certainly have your own style, your own approach. But typically what we're doing is on day one, we're sending a warming email, an introductory email, and immediately demonstrating that we're here to add value. Right? So you're not talking about specific transactions. What you are doing is saying, hey, I think there's a good reason for us to have a direct relationship. We've got great newsletters. We've got great product recommendations. We have ongoing product updates. We'd love to engage in a dialogue with you. And oh, by the way, you'll probably have access to promotions and sales, et cetera, that you might not have otherwise. And so once they're in your engagement dialogue, right? Once you've started an email thread with them, then you would send out notes and campaigns much like you normally would. So whether that's a 15, 30, 60-day cycle, whether that's just folding them into your existing promotions, your existing updates based on their segments, right? Meaning understanding their life stage, understanding the products they bought, understanding their gender. that's the approach that you're taking. And so that's some highlights of what a campaign or the Amazon play would look like. What does the impact of that look like? Well, it's pretty significant, right? In this example here, we're suggesting that you're pulling in a net new 100 customers that you're able to, 100,000 customers that you're able to identify emails for. Let's assume that you get something like a 3% conversion, which is consistent with benchmarks. Well, 3%, that's 3,000 conversions. Let's assume you've got a $250 lifetime value. That pretty quickly gets you to $750,000 of net new revenue. And that's what we're all about, right? Being revenue oriented, outcome oriented. And that's an example of the proven plays that we've got ready to execute for you. Let's hit a couple, or at least one other example. I know we don't want to go too deep here on the webinar, but I'll just hit another example, and that's a post-purchase play, right? So leveraging the data and the power of combining transactional data with your customer database, with your prospect database, understanding that as soon as someone purchases, that they're actually the most likely purchase is from someone who just purchased. So taking advantage of that, taking advantage of the fact that you've now got a trusted relationship. We've got a play and a roster of approaches that are proven around post-purchase, right? So somebody purchases, you immediately start a sequence around thank you and around further engagement, an understanding of what the product was that they just purchased, to present next best product, to present accessories and upsells, to present opportunities go forward. A little color on what that campaign can look like, right? So this is an example with Mike's Bikes, who happens to be an Ascent 360 customer. So Mike's Bikes, immediately upon purchase, they're sending out a thank you. They're asking for feedback. They're looking to engage with end customers, present that they're immediately willing to provide value. They're understanding, what their gender is, what type of bike they've bought. Is it a road bike, a trail bike, a cruiser? They're providing opportunities go forward around that, right? So doing smart engagement, adjusting creative, adjusting content based on the type of bike that they bought, right? And they're providing opportunities to get fitted for their bike, so to come into the store, do an in-person fitting. They're providing opportunities, tips and tricks for better cycling, and they're certainly providing opportunities go forward for additional sales, right? So you can see here, these are just examples of not only the plays that we have, but some of the actual content, campaign, collateral that we've leveraged with our customers, all to the end of direct results and all outcome oriented. So we've given you a flavor of the plays. I thought I'd take a step back and just talk a little bit about why this is unique, right? Like, what's special about this? You may see the play that says, hey, repurchase campaign or lapsed customer campaign, and you might scratch your head and say, oh, I think I try to do that today, or what's different about what we're doing versus what somebody else might offer, another vendor might offer. Yeah, well, first and foremost, I guess I'd put out the context that we leverage the power of our customer data platform technology, right? So we're able to combine and effectively tie all of your customer transactions to the profiles to inform engagement, right? So we really harness the power of all the data that you have out there. We put it at your fingertips, and we're able to, access it, and leverage it in an automated way. And that means that you're getting to number 2 here, which is personalized, automated engagement, right? Like, we all know we want to engage with our customers and prospects in an authentic way. And what we provide is a path to doing that, but a path to doing that in an automated, low-touch way, right? We recognize that our customers, our clients, are time constrained. We recognize that you've got other conflicting priorities, and what we're looking to do is line you up for success in the lowest impact way, right? So lowest impact from a resource perspective, highest result, right? Highest ROI manner. A third differentiator is our ability to, unlock the customers and data that you've got from your alternative channels, right? Your drop ship approaches, your Amazon, your Walmart. These are all, it's great to have additional paths for sale, but what you want to do is unify and consolidate that data into a single perspective, right? That's marketing accessible. And so we take and unlock all of that information and put it at your fingertips. And that's hugely powerful. So you can understand what true lifetime value of customers are, what RFM scores are for your full customer database. So it's not a partial view. You're not blind to 20, 30, 40% of your customers. Instead, you have access to the full view, to the 360-degree view. And lastly, I know we didn't hit on it a ton through the plays and dialogue here today, but we have a ton more to say and look forward to engaging with you to further discuss. We provide the magic revenue attribution that all marketers are looking for, right? Everyone's looking for that closed loop feedback to understand what campaigns are working. And so because we've got two-way integrations to your channels, to your customers, from your ESP, from Facebook, from your Google connections, we have two-way integrations. So we understand when your campaigns are actually converting, right? And so we can tie that back to your customers. We tie that back, of course, to the transactions and our integrations to your e-commerce or point of sale platform. And that's the nirvana, right? That's what we all want to get to, which is automated, personalized campaigns so that you have low resource requirement, so that you have the foundational capstone marketing work that you need going on, and then the feedback loop to adjust those campaigns ongoing, right? It's set it and forget it and adjust as needed, right? So what's working when, so you can do more of, so you can do less of, etc. So when you say, like, how do we do this? How do we make the plays that we're talking about, the outcome-based marketing that we're talking about work? Well, it's really all derived from the CDP platform that is underlying our approach, right? So the integration of the data, the cleansing of the data, the 360 view to not only your existing customers that you have directly, but also your Amazon and other channels. And then finally, this feedback loop of revenue attribution. So as we start thinking about, like, okay, how could that work for you, right? How does that work for you as a client? The part that I would start by saying is we already have existing integrations with the primary point of sale, primary e-commerce, and primary email providers that are out there. And the reason that we've set up these integrations, that we've invested in the APIs, that we've invested in the methodologies to get these going up and going rapidly, is that we want to accelerate your time to value, right? So we're confident that if you're working with any of the systems that you see up here today, right? So if you've got one of the point of sale or e-commerce systems that are highlighted on the left-hand side, and an email service provider together with Facebook and Google or Instagram that you see on the right-hand side, that we're confident that we can get to that 60-day return on investment, 60-day time to value that we highlighted earlier, right? So we're all about rapid deployment. We're all about accelerated time to value, and we'd love to talk to you if you've got these systems and are ready to roll. When we engage in a dialogue, we're going to ask you 3 simple questions before we effectively start going, right? You know, what's your transaction? Where's your transaction and purchase data? So, you know, what point of sale or e-commerce platform are you using? What email platform do you use? And then let's align on the plays. And with that information, effectively, we're ready to roll. Ready to roll in that 60-day time frame that we referenced earlier, where we, you know, kick off the identified plays that we align on, we integrate and harmonize your data, we execute the plays, and we get to results. So that's the outcome-based marketing approach in short and in highlights. We'd love to talk to you more, so feel free to hit us at hit me at cperez@ascent360.com or hit us at hello@ascent360.com. With that, I'll turn it back over to Christy for some questions.
Thank you, Carlos. That was very informative. We only have time for really one question, and this question is from someone who just cuts right to the chase and wants to know, how much does this cost?
Sure. So this is Scott. So it's actually quite affordable, and that is to say that we price based on how many customers are in the database, and that means if you don't have that many customers, it doesn't cost very much. And as you grow, we charge you a little more, and you know the ROI is there. What we typically see in the first year is a client will you know what they'll return is 5 or 6x what they pay us, and you know we ultimately think that's a pretty good deal. So, but if you want to know detailed pricing, just shoot Carlos or I an email.
Okay, great. Well, again, thank you all for joining. We certainly enjoy partnering with OIA to bring you information about how to get the very best results for your organization. Again, for more information about Ascent 360 data-driven marketing engine, email them, visit the website, or set up time to talk at the Outdoor Retailer Winter Show. So in just 60 days, you could be getting results like this. So jump onto the outcome-based marketing bandwagon. Thank you, and that's it. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.